You're not alone. If you need someone to talk to today, please contact Crisis Services Canada by either calling them at 1-833-456-4566 all hours of the day, or you can text them at 45645 at 4 p.m. to 12 a.m. Eastern Time. Remember, you're not alone, and Crisis Services Canada is here to help. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to this edition of the Prospect Show on ASTV Productions. I'm your host, Graeme Forsyth. It is May 9th, 2022, here on this Monday night. Thanks to everyone for tuning in on this Monday evening. Looks like I may need a haircut, because my hair is getting a bit too long, but yeah, great show in store for you guys tonight. We will have one guest joining tonight's edition of the Prospect Show. It will be Tyson Buczkowski, a defenseman for the Saskatoon Blazers AAA U18 hockey team in the Saskatchewan Male AAA Hockey League. He'll be joining the show later on to talk about just his season with the Blazers, what it was like getting drafted in the first round, 15th overall to the Prince George Cougars back in December for the 2021 WHL draft. And yeah, he'll be the only guest on tonight's show. What I'll be doing in the meantime, because he won't be joining the show until about 8:30 in Tyson, that is. So that I'm going to be giving you guys, I do it on Coffee with Graeme, one of my other shows, but a league report in terms of just who ended up winning the championships in the AAA leagues from Saskatchewan to Manitoba to Alberta this season, as well as I'm also going to be giving you guys an edition of Player Breakdown as well, breaking down the game of Macklin Celebrini. There's some older clips that I have of him, but just going based off of those clips, gonna tell you guys why I think that he'll be one of the top picks coming up in the 2024 NHL Entry Draft. But folks, this will be my last time hosting the Prospect Show ever. So this is going to be the final show ever. I'm happy for everyone that is tuning in, whether you're tuning in on Facebook at ASTV Productions, on YouTube at Amateur Sports TV, on Twitter on Amateur Sports TV, or if you're choosing to watch this on our website at amateursports.tv or astvproductions.com, if you're watching on Boxcast, Apple TV, Roku, Amazon Fire, wherever you may be watching on. Thanks for tuning into this edition of the Prospect Show. It's going to be a lot of fun. Let's get this thing rolling after this intro of the Prospect Show here on ASTV Productions. Enjoy, everybody.
Wow!
So what I think I am going to do here to start things off is just run you guys through not only the AAA hockey leagues, but also talk about the Western Canada Hockey Exposure Camp first off. Something that I didn't mention in the intro. The Exposure Camp was held this year in Calgary, Alberta for the 2022 Western Canada Hockey Exposure Camp. So it was held, it started this past Friday, so on May 6th, ran all the way up until yesterday. There were 40 games in total played, I believe, over 300 players competing in this year's camp, and 20 teams that were put together and competed against each other this past weekend from Friday to Sunday in Calgary, Alberta. There were some notable standouts. Looking on their website, they only show the game-by-game stats, so I didn't see the total amount of stats that were put out. If I spent a lot of time gathering all of those, it would have taken me forever, so I did not choose to do that. But just taking a look at their Twitter, just to give you guys an update on which players were standing out. And that was after day 2, they tweeted this. They actually tweeted this yesterday on their account on Hockey Exposure on Twitter. I'll show it to you guys. So as you can see this tweet here, so players Reese Hicks and Owen Miller were leading the tournament in points with 8 points each after day number 2. And of course, they talked about how they were looking forward to day number 3. But let's take a look at Reese Hicks now and take a look at just the type of player he was coming into this camp. Because I'll be honest, he was not a player that was mentioned throughout the talks here on ASTV Productions as we were breaking down this tournament heading into it. But take a look at Reese Hicks. He is from, let's see. So he's from High Level, Alberta. He's a 15-year-old kid born January 15th, 2007. So he just turned 15 earlier this year. He's already 6 feet tall, 170 pounds, and shoots right. And looking at the season he had, pretty solid season with the Spruce Grove Pack Saints U15 AAA team, having 38 points in 34 games played, 24 goals, 14 assists. Had 42 penalty minutes in the playoffs. He had 5 points in 3 games played, 2 goals, 3 assists, and 2 penalty minutes as well. Had a chance to play for Team Alberta Grey at the Youth Cups, put up 3 points there, and also played a game with the Pack Saints U16 AAA team, and didn't register in that one game. He got called up and played there. But taking a look at how he did in terms of just within the team, in terms of the scores there, so he ended up finishing with the 3rd most points on his team this season, being a 15-year-old. This was his 2nd year playing in this league of eligibility, but of course, really his first full year in this league because he had a chance to play 4 games last year with the same team, but of course, those were only 4 games. So finishing 3rd on his team, having a very successful camp for himself. Let's take a look at Owen Miller as well. Who we're going to go with him right here. I believe this was him. And yeah, looking at him, 2005 born. So older, obviously, 17 years old from Canada. That is his nationality. It doesn't have any of his other stuff, but this is another forward talking about him here. And this year with the NWC AA Stamps U18 AA team, he registered 29 points in 27 games played. He had 2 points in 6 playoff games, so production went down there. But a guy that not only put the puck in the net 14 times, but 15 assists as well. And of course, having a big impact at this year's Western Canada Hockey Exposure Camp in Calgary, Alberta. So congratulations to Owen Miller and Reese Hicks on those performances for them this week. And I'm not too sure how they finished off on day number 3, but gotta love to see that. And also, thank you to everyone who is watching that might have tuned into the 2022 Western Canada Hockey Exposure Camp here on amateursports.tv. We got some nice compliments from what I heard, so that's great. But if you did watch, thank you for tuning into this year's camp, hoping that we can cover it next year as well. So, moving into the Saskatchewan Male AAA Hockey League now, and so congratulations to the Notre Dame Hounds who were off to the TELUS Cup in Okotoks. We'll actually go to this link right here and show you guys the story from Hockey Canada, read through it. So teams locked in for the TELUS Cup, 6 teams from British Columbia to New Brunswick, of course, gathering this year in Okotoks to compete for a Canadian National Men's U18 Club Hockey Championship. Of course, the host team will be the Sydney Rush. Sydney Rush, this will be their first appearance for Sydney, which is the end of 31 years, trying to end 31 years of futility. No host team has won the national title since the Calgary North Stars in 1991, which is pretty awesome. Not pretty awesome, pretty crazy. That stat right there. So from the West region, it will be the Notre Dame Hounds representing the West region in this year's TELUS Cup. Of course, playing in Okotoks this year for the tournament. But so for the Hounds, they ended up their female team ended up qualifying for the ESO Cup after beating the Westman Wildcats in their West Regional matchup in that series. And the Notre Dame Hounds did the same to the Winnipeg Wild. As you can see here, an impressive season for the Hounds as they ended the regular season with a 35-8-1 record and a league high 233 goals. The Hounds just dropped 2 games in their playoff run, and they swept Warman in the final and ended up coming to Virden, Manitoba to beat the Winnipeg Wild. Not too sure how many games it took, but to claim another West Region title. This will be the 12th appearance for the Hounds in this tournament, which is the second most ever. And they will also be looking to haul in, apparently, a record-setting 5 national championships. Actually looking to add to that, with trying to add a 6th. The last time they won was back in 2018. First one being in 1980. But looking at how good this team actually is from top to bottom, looking at the leaders. Let's see. Sorry, I will just go to the standings. But yes, the Notre Dame Hounds. So we'll take a look at the regular season first to look at this team's points. I can't get it here, but yes. So we'll go with the Notre Dame Hounds. 38-5-8-0-1 record. And looking at their team, I mean, their goal scorers, they had 3 goal scorers with over 20 goals. Cole Weirun being their number 1 with 28. In terms of playmaking abilities on this team, Ethan look for him to be a huge contributor in their success in the TELUS Cup. Cole Warren as well. So you're looking at the stats here, looking at how these players can dish out the puck. Not just Look and Warren who can dish out that puck with 40-plus assists, but other players like Aucoin, Altwasser, Marshall as well, Mitu Kulbe, Owen Thomas, Brian Fenlon, Van Egger. List just goes on and on. Let's take a look at their goaltending here. We can get it. Yeah. So in the regular season, their goaltenders were, below a save percentage of 900, but tough to keep that up in this league. How skilled the players are to have it over 900 save percentage. So 2 solid goaltenders for them in the pipes, and looking at their records and shutouts as well. 7 shutouts combined between these 2 goaltenders, and they're both rookies as well. And that's an interesting thing about this team, the amount of rookies that they do have. Of course, the year off playing a part into that for sure. So maybe these players weren't true rookies at the end of the day. But taking a look at the Alberta Elite Hockey League now at the U18 AAA division. I'll run you guys through this quickly, and then we'll get to the Manitoba AAA Hockey League. But, yeah. You guys can check out this website. I'll tell it to you guys after. But we'll go into April. Okay, we'll go into March. And yes, this is when it happens. So was the Calgary Buffaloes winning 4-2 in their last game to claim the championship over the Fort Saskatchewan Straight Line Dodgers Rangers. Of course, for the Calgary Buffaloes, they ended up dropping the first game of their best of 5 final series, 3-2. But it was them storming back in the series, winning 3 in a row, 4-1, 3-2, and 4-1. So congratulations to them. And then run you through this real quickly. Taking a look at, we'll go stats. Sorry, we'll go schedule. So this is interesting. So what ended up happening here, which is interesting to see. I did not know this is how it worked. But for the West region, it's looking like for the West regional. So For those of you that don't know, the Winnipeg Wild ended up winning this year's Manitoba AAA U18 Hockey League Championship, storming back in a best-of-5 series against Brandon, the Wheat Kings, who were the number 1 team in the league. The Wild were the number 2 team in the league heading into playoffs. Brandon took the first 2 games. The Wild tied up the series at 2 apiece, taking the next 2 games in that series, game number 3 and game number 4. And in game number 5, the Wild ended up storming back again and winning 6-3 to claim a championship over Brandon, stunning the number 1 first place team in the league. So once the Wild secured that, they had a chance to play for the TELUS Cup. Well, let's see what happened. And the Notre Dame Hounds beat the Wild in Verdun 3-2. Southwest, the Cougars, they ended up also having a chance to compete, I believe, because they were named the host, but tournament is happening in Okotoks, so I guess they gave them that chance anyways. But Thunder Bay, the Kings, beat them 4-3. We'll go into Friday, April 29th. The Wild beat the Thunder Bay Kings, and the Notre Dame Hounds beat the Southwest Cougars. So heading into Saturday, it was Southwest beating the Wild 3-0. So I believe that set up a chance for them to have a chance to qualify against Notre Dame. But Notre Dame ended up winning 4-3. So I believe that's how they ended up making it into the TELUS Cup and winning the West region. So that is interesting to know. An interesting note there. So coming up, folks, that is going to do it for just updates on AAA hockey leagues here, as well as the Western Canada Hockey Exposure Camp. As my final time hosting the Prospect Show as this episode rolls along, I'm going to be doing my last ever player breakdown, talking about Macklin Celebrini out of British Columbia, playing for the Shattuck-St. Mary's 18U team this year. Still lit it up. Went first overall in the U.S. WHL draft to the I'll have to look at it again. I can't remember off the top of my head, but he got drafted first overall there. Huge accomplishment for him. And yeah, this kid is absolutely phenomenal. I'd like to call him an assassin on ice with just how he can absolutely expose a defenseman and make him look silly. And that's what I'm going to be getting into and showing you guys clips of next year, coming up on the Prospect Show here on ASTV Productions, on the final ever edition of the segment I've been doing for quite a bit now, Player Breakdown, coming up next on the Prospect Show on ASTV.
Welcome to Pilot-Mound Hockey-Academy, your world-class academic and hockey training facility created to maximize each student's athletic and academic potential. Blackjack Stewart Arena, home of the Buffalo, is inside the 46,000 square foot complex, as well as a curling rink and other facilities. The students have a unique combination of successful, well-rounded education at Pilot-Mound Collegiate Institute and the professional hockey training in an encouraging community. The years of experience of on-ice coaching propel our students to the next level, both mentally and physically, in a professional environment.
welcome back to the Prospect Show on ASTV Productions, everybody, as we continue to wait for the arrival of the only guest I'll be interviewing in tonight's episode. I hope you guys have been enjoying what I've been talking about so far, just talking about the results from AAA leagues from Saskatchewan, Manitoba, and Alberta. Touched more heavily on the Saskatchewan League because that team that ended up winning that league this year in the Saskatchewan Male AAA U18 Hockey League, the Notre Dame Hounds have qualified for the TELUS Cup and will be playing in Okotoks for that tournament coming up soon. Speaking of the Saskatchewan Male AAA Hockey League, Tyson Buczkowski, the only guest in tonight's episode, played in that league this season for the Saskatoon Blazers. Can't wait to talk to him about his season there, as well as talking about his time with the Prince George Cougars, where he got drafted as well in the 2021 WHL draft, going 15th overall in the first round to Prince George. But yeah, gonna get into the next part of this episode now, and that is this week's edition, the final ever edition of Player Breakdown, everybody. And who I'm going to be talking about is a kid I've had on the show before, and it's been a while since I've had him on the show. Too bad I wasn't able to connect with him again. But it's Macklin Celebrini. Not sure if you guys know who he is, but he is a forward, 2006 born, 15 years old, out of Vancouver, British Columbia. He spent his past 2 seasons playing for the Shattuck-St. Mary's U18 prep team, and he is with the Chicago Steel now in the USHL. So another step in his development there that he is taking. Macklin probably going there so he can get some experience, I assume, playing against older competition, so he can get ready to take that next step effectively in the WHL, which is interesting, the path that Macklin has taken. But I mean, this is a guy, just taking a look at him, I called him an assassin on the ice. I mean, this is a guy with such a high skill set offensively. Haven't seen much of him play defensively because I haven't really seen clips out of him like that yet. But I assume he's very responsible in his own end. In his last 2 years with Shattuck-St. Mary's, one of the highest touted hockey schools there are out there, he played for the 14U AAA team last season, put up 141 points, 51 goals, 90 assists to hit that point total in 50 games played. Was also a huge part of their national championship squad last year. That was that 14U AAA team. But looking at this year, on Shattuck-St. Mary's U18 or 18U prep, playing against some bigger boys, well, he still had a very solid season. Not quite the same amount of points as last year, but 117 points, 50 goals, 67 assists for in 52 games played for 117 points. And taking a look at Macklin, what he ended up doing, he ended up leading his team in points, edging out, by quite a bit, finishing with way more points than his counterpart, not his counterpart, but one of his good buddies, I assume, and his teammate that played with him last year and ended up leading the team in points. They switched roles this year in that regard, with Macklin putting up 117 compared to Cole Eiserman's 86 points. But both are phenomenal players. I've talked about Cole Eiserman already in one of the most recent episodes of the Prospect Show, talking about why he is going to be one of the top picks in the 2024 NHL Entry Draft. So I will be doing the same with Macklin here tonight. So with all those stats out of the way, let's get into it. What makes Macklin as good as he is? Well, I call him an assassin on the ice, and why I call him that is that he's very calculated out there, can make defenders look silly with not only his skating ability and his quick hands, his good hands, his silky hands. Combine both of those together with just his high hockey IQ, it's going to be a problem for defensemen on the ice or opponents that are facing him. You'll see it in these clips here that I'll be showing. So here we go. So this is from not even with Shattuck-St. Mary's, but this was from when he was playing with the, I'll go back to his homepage here. This was when he was playing in 2019-2020 with the San Jose Sharks 14 UAAA team. And this is Macklin going up against players that were older than him at the time. By the way, Macklin, the place he got drafted to, was first overall to the Seattle Thunderbirds in the WHL US Prospect Draft. I just wanted to clarify that. But look at Macklin here. He has it in the forehand position, the money spot position, where he's going to be even more dangerous because when you're on the forehand, you have so many more options. Could he shoot it from right here? Will he make a move past this defenseman, or will he just blow by him? Well, Macklin's going to be patient, very calculated, waits for this defenseman to commit just a bit too much to his forehand side. Macklin, knowing that there's not much support for him, not any back if he's able to make this move past him successfully, which he does, puts himself in a good position. And there's that quick release and nice touch in tight from Macklin Celebrini, finishing that one off. Once again, here it's the patience. He's able to be patient. He's waiting for this defenseman to totally commit to him, which he does. And Macklin slides it through the stick, a little forehand, backhand, putting it in the net. Now, here's what I talk about: assassin on ice, calculated. You'll see Macklin Celebrini here. He does a backhand windmill under his stick, but look, this defenseman not biting on the move. So Macklin's going to be patient. He's going to stick with the move, waits for the defenseman to get more out of position for him to open it up just a bit more. And Macklin sees that bigger opening, able to have that calmness under pressure to make that move back to the outside to his backhand. Good shot on net. Now we'll see it here. And it starts off with Macklin being in good position to get this breakout pass. This first pass connects to him. It's a quick pass to the winger right here, the outlet man. And you'll see Macklin continues driving in the center, middle part of the ice, stick down, ready for a pass. And he gets it. Now you're going to see Macklin here, really good skater, elusive, fast, can change direction very quickly. He's coming in with speed. The defenseman respects it, freezes up just a bit. And Macklin, he's going to get him there. He sees all this open space on the left side, so his quickness with his edges, his quickness with his skating ability, uses that to his advantage, gets to the outside, burns past all of the team, and doesn't finish it off, but a really nice net drive there by Macklin. Really good awareness by him to know where to take advantage on the ice in terms of the spacing. So in conclusion, assassin on ice can make defense look silly. Very calculated out there, as you saw. Really good skater, quick, good edges, can change direction quickly very well. And really good hands as well. Nice touch and tight, really smooth, and really with a shot too. Not the hardest shot, but he's got a quick release. And those were clips from the most recent clips I showed you from last year. So Macklin, he's only gotten better out there. He's only gotten quicker in terms of making decisions out there on the ice, I got to assume. And I assume that he's just continuing to fine-tune his skills and become a really good hockey player, not only in the offensive zone, but most likely improving his defensive zone game as well. Look for him, as he is one of the highly touted offensive players going into the 2024 NHL Entry Draft. He's going to have some good years to soak and develop with the Chicago Steel. And once he makes that move up to the WHL with the Seattle Thunderbirds, a really promising prospect here in Macklin Celebrini, who the GMs in the NHL, I got to say, in 2024, who have a high pick, going to be keeping a close eye on this kid right here. Watch out for that name. Here for it in about 2 years at the NHL draft in the first round, and Macklin Celebrini of Shattuck-St. Mary's now for the Chicago Steel. Now, got the guest in the studio now, in backstage. It's Tyson Buczkowski, the final ever guest here on the Prospect Show, everybody. Let's see how exciting this is coming up. Stay tuned, everyone. It's going to be a blast coming up on the Prospect Show on ASTV Productions. Welcome back to the Prospect Show on ASTV Productions. Just got done doing this week's edition of Player Breakdown with amateursports.tv on our website with our new media player. If you want to go back and watch me break down the game of Macklin Celebrini, why I think he's going to be one of the top picks in 2024 in the NHL Entry Draft, can go back on live broadcasts on our new media player and check that out if you want to. And just like any one of our broadcasts, if you did miss an interview and say it was in this episode and you want to watch it back live, you can do that on our new media player. Check it out on amateursports.tv. But like I said, welcome back to the show, everybody. It's now time for me to interview this guest right here, Tyson Buczkowski of the Saskatoon Blazers, drafted 15th overall to the Prince George Cougars in the 2021 WHL draft. Tyson, great to see you again, man. It's been a while. A lot has happened for you since we've last talked. How's everything been, since the draft, since the season has ended?
Hey, Graeme. Thank you very much for having me on the show. It's been a pretty busy couple months here in Saskatoon and in Prince George. I got called up for a few weeks to finish the season, and yeah, it was a great time.
Yeah, what was that like, getting to get called up, play in the WHL? I'm not sure if you did you play any games with Prince George, as you got opportunity to get called up there?
No, I didn't play any games.
So obviously not being able to get into the lineup, but what was that experience like, just to be in a WHL type of atmosphere with Prince George?
It was an awesome experience. I think, just meeting the players of the team and the staff. I think just getting comfortable in Prince George it's going to be better next year once I get to camp and try out for the team.
Let's go back to draft day, actually, a bit before it. Just the build up to draft day. Of course, you were probably expecting to get drafted somewhere in the first round, but just what was that build up truly like leading up to draft day in hopes for you to potentially get drafted to a team in the dub?
Yeah, super nerve wracking. I think, a couple nights before, had trouble sleeping a bit, but very exciting.
Yeah, no doubt. Honestly, when the stress is up, sleep is one of those things that kind of go out the window, right? But you were able to sleep easy once you got drafted to Prince George, 15th overall. Describe that moment for yourself, just getting the notice. I mean, you were probably watching the draft as it was going on, but you did hearing your name get called, what that moment was like for you.
Yeah, I mean, me and my family were watching the show for the draft, and it just felt relieved in that moment. It was an awesome feeling.
What was that like, getting to spend the day, watching the draft with mom and dad as things were rolling along?
It was very, very interesting. I think, seeing other players go, and, it was awesome.
What were your did you have any conversations before, leading up to the draft, when you got selected with Prince George? Did you have kind of an idea that that was a team that was really looking to take you in that first round?
I didn't really have any conversations with any WHL teams before the draft.
So what was that like then? Just getting that confirmation, getting drafted to Prince George. I mean, just having that opportunity to play for that franchise in the WHL someday.
Yeah, it was awesome. I think just to get that first opportunity, to be with the team and, getting my name called, and it was awesome.
Well, it didn't stop there. You also had a chance to sign your entry deal with them, your contract with Prince George. What was that moment like for yourself? Just getting to, put pen to paper and sign, I guess, your rights to Prince George for your first WHL contract.
Yeah, there's nothing like it. I mean, it was an awesome feeling, and I think it could be the only time.
Yeah, no doubt. You gotta make the best of those moments, those opportunities that you got, and pretty cool moment for yourself to be able to put ink to paper, pen to paper, and sign your first ever WHL contract. Obviously, you got called up to this team. Didn't have a chance to play, but from what you saw, just everything out there with the WHL experience, what's on your mind now in terms of just getting prepared and getting set to take on the challenges that camp will be posing coming up once it does come?
Yeah, I think just, watching video, I think, this past season in the WHL, I think just watching the Prince George Cougars, watching their systems and, you know, kind of doing my individual training for next year.
What was the atmosphere like in a WHL rink when you got to watch this team play?
It was amazing. I
Yeah.
mean, it's one of those feelings where, it's just, you get pumped up so easily and it was awesome.
Yeah, you must be excited to have a chance to potentially play for those fans next year, be able to go on the road and have a chance to play in front of whatever fans the team you might be facing has, and just that experience for yourself. How excited you are to have a chance to build a relationship, a connection with maybe the fan base, the community in Prince George throughout your years once you do make it to the WHL.
Yeah, I think that's one of the most important things is, get involved with the community, doing the community work, and I think just getting to know the city a bit more, meeting the people and having that experience.
For yourself this season, you had a chance to grow a lot. I'm sure as not only a player but a individual with the Saskatoon Blazers U18 AAA team, being a huge part of their success defensively and putting up some points offensively as well. 32 in the regular season, 8 in 7 postseason games. What was the experience like for you this season, getting to not only get back to playing hockey, but have a chance to grow not only on the ice, but outside, off the ice in the dressing room with this Blazers team this year?
And I think this Blazer team is a special group. Most of us have been playing with each other and against each other since we started playing hockey. Tying those laces for the first time, and it was a very special group to be part of. And now we're all going our separate ways, and we're gonna get a chance to play against each other.
Yeah, how cool is that? Just knowing that you've played against each other. Now that you may have a chance to play against each other in the WHL with not only yourself but so many other Blazers being drafted to the Dub this past year.
Yeah, there's gonna be a lot of first experience. It's gonna be a pretty cool moment.
Looking back at your season, 32 points in 42 games in the regular season. You had 8 points in 7 games played in the playoffs. Of course, this team fell short against Warman in the semis. But for yourself, from an individual standpoint, how happy were you with just the development, the growth that was shown in your game this season?
Yeah, I was pretty happy throughout the season. I think just taking one step at a time is the biggest thing. I think just when you're climbing that mountain, just take one step at a time and don't worry about getting to the top too fast.
How did you feel like you were able to, develop within this Blazers system, the systems that the coaches were teaching you guys and wanting you guys to, succeed in this past year?
Yeah, there were a couple new systems, but I think throughout, a couple of my teammates and myself felt pretty comfortable throughout those moments.
Where did you feel like your game this season stood out the most? Of course, you put up the assists, you were able to put the puck in the net. Was it more so the offensive side of your game, but more of the defensive side of your game with you being a defenseman that you felt stood out?
Yeah, I think, my offensive game, I've worked on it every year and, trying to improve, every time I step on the ice. But I think this year my defensive zone has gotten a lot better. And I think just that's one part of the game that's it's going to be has to be good.
Right, for sure, especially when that is your position of playing defense, right? But for yourself, you had a lot of opportunity this year, I assume, to play on the power play as well as the penalty kill, of course, playing big minutes 5-on-5. How huge was that, being put in all these different situations, which you have been before on teams, but just adding an extra level confidence for yourself, especially with you being in your rookie year?
Yeah, I think just having that confidence is the main thing. I think if you don't have that, then you can't succeed in any position, and you are.
Let's talk about the playoffs now. Talking about just being back to playing in the playoffs, something that a lot of kids, almost every kid in Canada, well, every kid in Canada hasn't had the chance to do these past 2 seasons due to COVID-19.
Yeah, I think playoffs could be a one in a life opportunity, especially in hockey. I think it's you got to be grateful that you have the opportunity. And, it's a totally different game. I think just watching the NHL now, NHL playoffs, it's the most exciting hockey to watch.
Yeah, the only issue I have is too many penalties this year. It's feeling a bit too much like regular season, but that's a debate for another day, right? For yourself, you were able to put up over a point per game in the playoffs, 8 points in 7 games played. Talk about just with you having such good offensive abilities that you've been working on throughout the years, just being able to see the production come together in the playoffs like it did for yourself to have that success. Speak about that part of things.
And I think, it carries out of the regular season and coming into playoffs. Obviously my coaches and my teammates and the whole team has really helped me to create that offense.
Let's move into that series against the Warman Wildcats, a team that finished third in the standings. You guys finished second. So they had the lower seed coming in, but obviously an opponent you guys respected a lot. You guys won game number 1, 5-2, but lost game 2, 5-2, lost game 3, a close one, 6-5 in OT, and lost game number 4, 6-3 as they ended your guys' season in that game. Just talk about that series against Warman, a series where this team started off with a strong 5-2 win, wasn't able to find the same type of success again. Just take me through that experience of what exactly went down for Warman to beat you guys and oust you guys from the playoffs.
Obviously Warman was one of those top teams, and coming into the playoffs, they had a pretty good regular season. And I think, they're also one of those teams where, you got to respect them. They got a lot of skill, a lot of hardworking players, and they have the opportunity to be successful.
Yeah, no doubt. Just obviously, when you look back at a series like this, obviously hard to take because you took the first game, weren't able to find that same type of success in the final 3 games of the series. But this is a young team. You, as well as a lot of players, were young on this team. In terms for yourself, what did, looking back at it since it's happened a while ago now, what you took away the most from this experience that you had in this playoff series when you guys didn't exactly come out the way you guys wanted to and were able to finish it off?
And I think when you fall short of something like that, the midget championship, and I think, that could be a one in life opportunity, and you got to put all the hard work in and, keep on pushing.
Well, you have a chance to potentially crack Prince George's roster next year. You had a very successful season with Saskatoon. You had a chance to play at the WHL Cup for Team Saskatchewan as well back in 2021. A very successful season for you, I'm sure, one that you won't forget. But it can only go up from here. I mean, you got a big year coming up to prove yourself again and to continue developing. So what's up next for Tyson Buczkowski in terms of how he's going to continue to develop as a hockey player here moving forward?
I think, this is one of my biggest summers preparing for next year and trying to crack the PG roster. And I think just some of the biggest things that I got to do this summer is keep watching video. I think that's going to really help, and keep training at home, skating a little bit too.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Keep working on those skills, man. Keep working on those things that you need to work on. And hey, you got all the talent in the world to be successful in this sport heading forward. Just continue to put in that work and stay committed to the grind here, Tyson. It was wonderful getting to talk to you once again, Tyson, and with you being the last guest of my final ever prospect show with me hosting it here, I want to thank you truly for taking the time and being a part of this thing, man. Thanks for doing this.
Yeah, thank you so much, Graeme. Good luck.
Of course. Thanks, Tyson, yourself as well.
Thanks for having me.
Of course. And best of luck to you too, Mr. Buczkowski, as you enter into a big year for yourself, as Tyson Buczkowski will coming up next year. But hey, this kid, just hearing about what he can do, looking at the stats that he's put up, obviously a talented offensive minded defenseman out there, but also a defenseman that said he improved in the defensive zone this year and took a next step there. So if you're able to have that good offensive ability, a defenseman that can move that puck well, is a good skater like Tyson has been set to be, a guy that can quarterback a power play like Tyson has been able to do. Add that with him being a more confident and becoming better defensively in his own end as a defenseman. The offense becomes secondary at that point. It's more about that defense, which is the big reason for your success heading down the line, right? If he continues to develop there. I don't know what I'm trying to say, honestly. Just saying that Tyson Buczkowski, great two-way defenseman, that is only going to get better as things go along here in his hockey career. So I'm going to take one last commercial break here on the show, folks. Coming up after the commercial break, the final time me talking on the Prospect Show on ASTV. Got some indigestion as well, so much needed commercial break coming up. Stick around for more after the break, everybody. Welcome back to the Prospect Show, everybody. Tyson Buczkowski of the Saskatoon Blazers, a rookie defenseman on that team this season, just joined the show. Bright future ahead for him. He was drafted 15th overall to the Prince George Cougars in the 2021 WHL draft. And I'll say it in these words here, what I think of Tyson Buczkowski, a kid with a very high ceiling, very offensive-minded defenseman, but has also become better in his defensive zone, like he said. If that is true, what I was trying to say before, that will only make him that much more dangerous of a player out there, because you got to account for him offensively out there. It's just, how are you able to beat him if he continues getting better defensively as well? Obviously, there could be some cracks in his game, but he continues to continue to work on the fundamentals defensively, an active stick, keeping good gap, all that stuff. Paired with his offensive ability, with his ability to quarterback a power play as well and play in many different situations, Prince George is going to like what they will see out of this kid. And Tyson Buczkowski, who put up over a point per game in the playoffs with 8 and 7 games played, 32 points in the regular season and 42 regular season games played. So best of luck to Tyson in his endeavors with Prince George, as well as anywhere else he might play, and hope to see him get called his name in the NHL draft in 2024. Hoping he gets called into the show and gets drafted to one of the teams out of the 32 in the NHL come 2024. But folks, this is going to mark the end of tonight's edition of the Prospect Show. I've been your host, Graeme Forsyth. Thanks to you, the viewer, for tuning in tonight. Thank you to Tyson Buczkowski for coming on and being the guest. And also a special thanks to the sponsors of the Prospect Show and AETI Caisse Financial Group, Pilot-Mound Hockey-Academy, and TOVI Hockey. And folks, this is my last ever edition of the Prospect Show. Didn't do one last week. My power went out, so weren't able to have an episode out for you guys. But I was so happy to be back here for this Monday night on May 9th, 2022 for my final ever edition of the Prospect Show. And, when I got the opportunity first off to start here on ASTV Productions, it was just a heck of an opportunity for me. I've been here for over 2 years, and I've done nothing but grow as a creator. There's still a lot of things that I want to improve, and this isn't the end of me in terms of my broadcasting career. I hope to, continue to host TV shows somewhere else at some point. Maybe I'll even come back to ASTV Productions in the future. But for now, I just have to do this for myself and, take a break from broadcasting this type of content, right? for me personally. It's just a personal thing I got to do. I've loved every moment of this doing the Prospect Show. I want to thank once again all the viewers, yourself, whoever you might be tuning in and have been tuning in throughout the past years here on the Prospect Show. To all the great guests that I've had here on the Prospect Show that I've had the pleasure to interview. That you will most likely be seeing on the big screen in the NHL coming up later on because of how good these kids are. From my first interview with Strathclair, Manitoba product, and Connor Geeky, to interviewing a guy like Macklin Celebrini, Cole Iserman, Kristen Humphreys, to interviewing a guy like Berkeley Cadden, who I interviewed him once and the connection went out. And then it took about over a year for me to interview him again, to interviewing who I like to call the next one up in hockey, and Connor Bedard, which is just phenomenal. I still can't believe I got to interview him. Just such a surreal experience, from the surreal experiences to meeting players that have really good stories, to talking to coaches, to scouts, talking about a guy that talks about the mental side of sports, and Trevor Saden. I forget his name exactly, how to pronounce it off the top of my head. But to everyone who has made this show what it is and how it's gone down and what's happened, for the support that you guys have given, for all the players, coaches, scouts, like I said, that have joined the show and been a part of it as well, to the sponsors, and just for myself, someone that loves the sport of hockey and will continue to love it, getting an opportunity to talk about the future upcoming studs in the sport that you will be seeing later on at the high levels. Just, at a loss for words. It's just been such a great experience. And for myself and everyone at ASTV Productions, I want to thank you all for making this a truly unforgettable experience throughout these past 2 years of me hosting the Prospect Show. Who will host this show? I'm not too sure who's going to host the Prospect Show. It won't be me from now on. You might not see this show happening for a while, taking that into account. But folks, like I always say, for one final time, I've been your host of the Prospect Show, Graeme Forsyth. Wanted to say thank you for everything that you've done to me and all the support that you've shown me here on the show. From the bottom of my heart, truly. How you can't see my hand, but it is at the bottom of my heart. I just want to thank you guys for this great experience and great ride it's been. So, for one final time, I've been your host of the Prospect Show, Graeme Forsyth. Signing off now. I will be back on the network tomorrow morning for Coffee with Graeme, my first of final 2 episodes for that. And I will also be hosting Rise and Shine Manitoba. But until next time, folks, until we see each other in the future here for the Prospect Show, I've been your host, Graeme Forsyth, giving you the salute and the peace out. Have a wonderful rest of your Monday night, folks. A wonderful rest of your week. Stay safe out there and have a wonderful weekend as well. And I guess there's nothing else to say, but I'll do it one more time. A salute and a peace out on this Monday, everybody. For myself, Graeme Forsyth at ASTV Productions. You guys take care. Goodbye, everybody.